What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome in. CHGO Bulls pregame on deck tonight, previewing the Bulls matchup with the 0-6 Utah Jazz. That's coming up next. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome in. CHGO Bulls pregame coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls _Peck. That's Big Dave. Bow. BAWL Sports. Man in the middle, Will _Perdue 32 back in the building. And as Dave would say on the ones and twos, the one and only KDW, the Queen. Bulls taking on the Utah Jazz tonight. Pregame presented by our friends at Coors Light. Also, a quick shout out. One more reminder, that amazing deal to sign up to become a CHGO diehard ends tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning. Sign up now, $4 a month to get all those perks and be a part of the official Cool People Club when it comes to Chicago sports fans. Guys, Bulls looking to bounce back after that tough loss to the Brooklyn Nets on Friday.
Yes.
Big Dave, thank you. You and Go did a great job holding down the fort.
That's what we do.
On that show, on that post game. Kind of a strange tale of two halves. Before we dive into Bulls Jazz action tonight, wanted to kind of loop back to that because it was a weird combination of the good version of Bulls we've seen so far and the bad version of Bulls we've seen. And essentially it was first half, second half.
Yeah.
Purdue, you wanted to highlight just how stark the contrast was as far as how efficient the Bulls were in that first half and then them going absolutely ice cold in the second.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and let me preface what I'm about to say is even though we're reshaping, okay,
that's the term we're going with,
and we're developing, you still, and this is what I called you about, and we had a small discussion that we wanted to continue on the show about, you're still trying to develop an identity, right? You're still working on your culture.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still talking about accountability, okay? But the thing that bothers me about that game is as we've continued to progress, mature, develop, we still have a tendency to play to the level of our competition, whether it's up or down. We don't set the bar. When I say we, how about I say they don't set the bar. They allow the opponents to set the bar.
Okay.
All right? And that's got to be driving Billy crazy because regardless of what you're doing, and the reason why I felt like I was somebody that could talk about this was I played on a 20-62 team with the San Antonio Spurs. But Greg Popovich would have lit our ass up if we would have had a game like that. Even the season where we went 20-62, because I remember specifically – now, this is a 20-62 team. We've got more CBA guys than NBA guys. Mm-hmm. We roll into Phoenix one night and just get totally waxed. And he comes in at the end of the game, and it's, you got the table here, and you got cups filled with your protein drink and all this stuff set out for the players to grab as they come by. He comes in, and he flips the table over and just goes berserk. Mm-hmm. And Pop doesn't do that a lot. And he just talks about, I don't give a rat's ass what our record is, how bad you think we are, who we're playing. There's a style that we play to. There's a responsibility that we have as professionals to put forth a type of effort. There's an identity we're working towards. And yeah, we're pretty much back to square one, but we're developing a culture that's going to help us win in the future. Now, obviously, you can check all the boxes because that obviously happened. Mm-hmm. Now they've kind of made a full 360 and back to where that starts again. Mm-hmm. But I can promise you even last year, Pop had those discussions with those players because they know what the future brings. But you just don't accidentally get there. There's a lot of work that goes into it, both mentally and physically, regardless of what type of team you're on. And that's one of the things that I still hope that this team continues to strive to do better, is the mental toughness aspect, is to not have these lapses. And you don't want it to make it personal and say, oh, these guys are lacking effort. I don't want to say that, but I'm just talking about the ability to find ways to push yourself the nights that it's just not there. You got to find a way to win ugly sometimes. And I remember when I was with the Bulls as well, it took a while to figure that out. Because, sometimes you go out there and you play like, well, just don't have it tonight. Let's go ahead and run through this and get through our next game. But the Bulls aren't in that position where they have that luxury. They're trying to develop something that they can sustain to not only put this team in position to win in the future, but also attract free agents. So that when teams are on the road and guys are hanging out and they're watching these games, they're like, hey, I want to play at that team, or I want to play for that coach, or I want to play with that guy, because that's how that's how it works with free agency now. Number one, everybody can get paid. But number two, when you have a choice, what is it that leads you to want to go somewhere specific? Because they all have great facilities. They all fly charter. They all stay at the nicest hotels. What's the difference? What team do I think has developed a specific culture that me as a player, I'm going to go there and I'm going to win, and I'm going to win another championship for a team that's already won 6.
I mean, I get the whole winning culture and building the winning habits and keeping one eye down the road stuff. I mean, I think as Chicago sports fans, it's fair to say for the last several years, whether you're talking about the Bears, my God, the Bulls, I roll my eyes when I hear about that stuff because we haven't seen any of it in Chicago in a long time. 26 winning culture stuff, winning habits. Like shout out to the 2016 Cubs. Shout out to the 2021 Chicago Sky. But if you're talking about grand scope, winning culture stuff in Chicago doesn't exist. Hasn't really for this city's major teams in a long time. Yeah. So we can talk about that stuff. But I mean, Dave, did you watch that game against the Brooklyn Nets on Friday night and say, this is a game where the Bulls should have won ugly, to borrow Will's term, or do you think hey, the shots were falling in the first half, and they weren't falling in the second half?
No, I don't feel like they should have won ugly. I just feel like the shots weren't falling and they got fatigued. But that's why I wanted to ask you, Will, while you were saying that, was it something specific that you saw that made you feel like the Bulls were playing down to the competition? The only reason I asked that is because I felt like, and this is, again, you're Will Perdue, but as I was watching it, it just felt like they were going tit for tat for a long time, because that's the style of play that both of those teams kind of do right now. Like the Bulls right now are a 3-point shooting team. Like they take a ton of threes, and we saw that a lot. And Brooklyn definitely takes a ton of threes. The Bulls are not great defensively. We saw that. But we also saw them, kind of stick around, hang around, and stay in the game. And they've shown they can come back from teams. They have 2 20-point comebacks this season. So I guess that's my question to you. What specifically did you see that made you feel like that they might be playing down to the competition?
Well, in this case, it's not necessarily daily. Okay, in this case, the Brooklyn Nets to dictate the pace, to dictate how the game was being played.
I got you.
And you and Matt are definitely kindred spirits because we had this conversation. So the great thing is you lead me right to my next point that I don't even have to, find a way to bring up because you just asked that question. When you play fast, you still have to play with discipline, okay? Just because the Brooklyn Nets go down and jack up a bad shot doesn't mean you come down and jack up a bad shot. I got a little too focused on this last year when I was watching this team about how, we all wanted them to play this way. They need to get up more field goals per game. So like at this Nets game, if you look at the final numbers, right, the Bulls had 88 field goals.
Okay.
And the Nets had 94 field goals. You're like, well, their opponent had more attempts. But then if you go back and start to break it down and you look at the number of foul shots, the Bulls had more foul shots. So technically those shots that are counted as field goals or fouls, they basically broke even, which is great. But then it's when Matt and I were talking today about how you broke it down. The threes. First half, 14 of 25. Second half, 3 of 19.
Yuck.
Total field goals, 22 out of 42 for 52% in the first half, 16 for 46 for 35% in the second half. The quality of shots went way down. So that's what I mean by as far as just because you're told in your head, push the pace, we're playing with a 7 or 8 second shot clock, doesn't mean you just got to pick it up, drive down, and take the first shot. The defense does a good job of getting back.
Sure.
Then you got to pull it out and run your offense because you're still talking about quality. You don't just focus on quantity. You got to focus on quality as well. Now, some nights you're just not playing fast enough and you're not getting up quality or quantity. But when you're playing a game like this and you allow basically an individual in Thomas to basically, what do you go on, a 13-1 run? Basically, he scored 13 to the Bulls 1. I don't know if that's exact, but I think that's kind of it.
It was like the deciding run for Brooklyn in the fourth quarter is like it was the Cam Thomas show.
Yeah.
Right.
It's science.
But that's okay if that happens, though. But you still got to go. It's all about, like they talk about, score and time, right? Like you've worked your ass off on defense. You made a stop. You limited him to one shot. And then you come down real quick, which is great. And you shoot some crappy ass shot that you had that's either it's bad. There's no rebounding. Nobody's there to rebound. It's contested. So you worked all that time, and then you come down and shoot this quick shot, and now they're coming back down right at you. You know, it's kind of like in football. You're, God, the defense has got to be exhausted because they've been on the field so much. You just basically, and the guy that usually shoots that shot has just pissed off his 4 teammates. Because of the effort they put forth on the defensive end. So this is something that they have to continue to work on. So it's a work in progress. I get it. But like when I was talking to Matt, you really only have one bad loss, in my opinion. That was the Nets game. And it was kind of, in my opinion, because of how you lost. I know they had an opportunity to win the Pelicans game, but when you look at the two teams on paper, the Pelicans are definitely better.
Sure.
But because of how you played, you were kind of hanging around with a chance. You raised the bar against Milwaukee, you beat them. You know, there's sometimes they're outliers, right? Unless you have your A game, you're not beating Oklahoma City 100 out of 100 times. Second game of back-to-back after what you just did and how you played against Milwaukee, not going to happen. You raised the level of how you played against Orlando. In my opinion, you made Orlando look average, okay, because of their defense and how they played.
It happened.
And
also, I think we found out after the fact that Paolo was playing hurt in the second half when his productivity fell off a cliff.
Yeah, but that's okay, though. But you still did the things. You shut down other guys.
Yeah, they took advantage of their best player playing hobbled in the second half to give themselves a chance to win that game.
But it's just one of those things that it's going to take time. But because the core is basically the same, and that message of culture, like you're hammering away at and I'm talking about culture and identity, that message hasn't changed in the last 3 years.
Right. Which, tonight's game, Utah, you talk about bad loss, whatever your expectations for the Bulls are this season.
This is the same type of thing.
Right.
Just because you're focusing on playing up-tempo and Utah comes down and just takes bad shots doesn't mean you do the same exact thing on the other end. If for whatever reason Utah's doing an excellent job of getting back and you can't get good uncontested looks early, then run time off the clock. And if you beat them 85-75, that's a good solid win. But that's playing with discipline and being able to be mature enough to identify a good shot, a better shot, a contested shot. But like, hey, I got a chance here to get up a few quick shots to improve my numbers.
Right.
But if you're not hitting them, then that's hurting the whole thing. And then that's where guys get kind of off kilter. And now all of a sudden everybody's not on the same page.
Yeah, Katie, do you have those shot charts from their loss to the Brooklyn Nets on Friday by half? Because look at all the green. That's first half.
That is
22 of 42. Beautiful. And, you see like all around the arc and then a decent efficiency inside the paint in the rim. And they only took 3 shots, not from 3 or in the paint. In today's NBA, that's what you love to see. Then go to the second half, all red. All red. Yeah, it's not great when you take that volume of threes and as Purdue said, 14 of 25 in the first half, scorching hot, 3 of 19, and whether or not it's chucking up shots. I will give him a little bit of credit. You were talking about the free throws, Goat, or Purdue rather.
I'll take it.
The Bulls. The Bulls. When you say like, "Hey, find a way to win ugly, find a way if the shots aren't falling," the Bulls went 17 of 20 from the free throw line in the second half when their threes weren't falling. Yeah. So if something isn't working, go another route. We could pick that up. I did want to talk about someone whose shot chart was scorching hot in a good way, and that is Vooch. We can touch on his game and what we might see from him tonight. On the other side of this quick break, because I want to tell y'all about our friends at Coors Light. CHGO Bulls pregame, of course, always presented by Coors Light. They are the presenting sponsor of WishFest, Chicago's concert for a cause. WishFest is back at the Salt Shed this Saturday, November 9th. It is a one-night indoor music festival, uplifting families battling cancer across Chicago and the Midwest, featuring a unique lineup of music and an atmosphere unlike any other, with crowd favorites OAR, heck yeah, Grammy-nominated superstar Mike Posner, indie folk sensation Will Dorado, and folk pop up-and-comer Hans Williams.
I don't know nothing.
I know OAR.
Mike Posner?
A big party for only $150. All-inclusive experience for that $150, with over 6 hours, all you can drink, food vendors, and a truly special atmosphere, all-night music, every dollar benefiting that amazing cause. All WishFest proceeds benefit Wish Forever's mission of uplifting families battling cancer, helping bring support to more than 600 families facing cancer with financial gifts totaling over $3 million. Wow. You can find out more information and get your tickets at WishFest. That's WEISSH fest.com/tickets. Shout out to Coors Light.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
That is the one type of event that you will get a free pass on, since the Bulls are actually at Atlanta and you should be here watching this show.
Yeah.
But you'll get a pass on Saturday if you go to WishFest.
You get a pass from Purdue, who was at a music festival of his own over the weekend.
That's how I wrote.
So was Big Dave. Don't just signal me out.
I was chilling. Will, what I do? I'm still reading notes.
I was giving Uncle Will a chance to flex about what he was up to this weekend. But
flex on him, Will. Flex on him.
Well, I'll flex for Dave. Who did you go see Saturday?
I saw Stevie Wonder on Saturday.
Okay, you saw Stevie Wonder.
Yes.
Big Dave and I were catching up quite a while before we started pregame tonight. Yeah. Didn't mention that.
Because I asked you about what you were doing.
I know.
And you went on for 30, and I wanted to hear all of it. No. I'm not saying that as a diss. I'm saying I wanted to hear all of it.
You went on for 30 minutes about your weekend.
Did I sound anything like that?
No.
Thank you.
And also, I know, like, Big Dave just dropped in our Bull Slack earlier today, like, oh, yeah, cool. Like, I was on a flight when there was, like, previous messages about scheduling something tomorrow. I was like, oh, Big Dave went somewhere this week? Cool. Never tells us where
Wait,
he's going.
how did I sound in that chat when I said that, Katie? How did I sound to you?
No, you sounded normal. You just
I sounded normal on that one?
You have, like, 5 lives that none of us know about.
7, but that's a different thing. But no, I walked over to Matt and I brought the big tub of popcorn. I said, dude, tell me every single thing about what that whole weekend down in Texas. I wanted to hear it. And he told me every single thing that happened, from what the nieces were to where he hung out at, to where you went to the place, the compound, I'm going to call it, down in Texas, because it's Texas.
You got to be careful when throwing around the word compound.
Right. That's fair.
That's fair.
When visiting people in Texas.
That's very fair. Very fair. I retract that.
I think they call it the country cottage.
Yes. We'll go with that. He's right. I will retract
Texas
that.
Fam has to have a cute little
he was out in the cottage hanging out.
It was not a Waco situation.
It was not a Waco situation. No Koresh happening over there. It wasn't happening. But he was hanging out at the cottage with the fam, with the kids, having a great time.
I did.
He had an amazing
Shout out to
time.
the Texas crew.
He had a great time.
I was not at the Sphere like Uncle Will.
I did go see the Eagles. I was invited. I accepted the invitation. We went to Vegas.
Okay.
And I would highly recommend, if you can go to any show that's at the Sphere, go. It's just
it's like that.
It magnifies the experience by 1,000.
Okay.
I keep hearing that from everyone who goes.
I do want to go see the Eagles, and I know they'll be there till like March.
Yep.
Yeah, you said they just got extended.
Yeah, I do want to see them.
Well, let's go.
I'm down.
Okay.
Name a day, Matt. We'll go. I am down to go see the Eagles.
It's settled.
Katie, it's on my list.
Okay.
But the Eagles on my list with Stevie Wonder.
I had talked with Matt on the phone earlier today, and I asked the ultimate question.
Which was?
I said, "Are you and Redacted still?
I knew it.
Still together?"
I knew it, bro. Like, yo.
Oh, I love busting his chops.
I've noticed.
But listen, anybody that's married in a relationship, you learn a lot about somebody when you travel. You may think you know somebody,
Yeah.
but when you travel with them, meaning you got to jump in Ubers, you got to get to the airport on time, you got to deal with airports, you got to deal with stress, you got to deal with delays, you got to, there's, as an only child, there's certain things that, you become laser focused on.
Yeah.
And if your significant other, girlfriend, wife, whatever, causes any speed bumps, delays, whatever, you're just like.
Yeah. What they'll learn about me is I'm very calm, cool, and collected in all those situations.
But inside you're burning up.
I'm cool. I'm cool in the gang. I promise you, man, because I've already planned for it. I already know what's going to happen. And so I'm chilling. So I'm good to go. So, yeah, I got it.
No, but I was glad to hear it because I really like her. I mean, she's
as far as travel, definitely very, very compatible. Not 100%, but about the important stuff. We're both on time to the airport people. Like, not just on time, but early. Yeah. I've never in my life missed a flight.
I have. He was there. I missed him.
Matt, since you're back, you missed the talk with Will, the goat Will, who was asking us, hey, I have a flight at 8:15 tomorrow, a.m.
Yeah.
What time should I get to the airport?
Well, so depending on the airport, and O'Hare can be kind of, one of those airports, my general rule is bare minimum an hour before departure time. I usually like to get more on the hour and a half before departure time. I like to get there an hour before boarding starts.
I'm usually the 2-3 hour guy to get to the air. But because of that conversation, I did say I'm gonna try this way for Will to go Gottlieb. I'm gonna try that way. Well, because I was also staying closest to the airport. So I was like, I'm gonna try this way. I get on the highway, they shut down 2 lanes. So I was about to go on the 94. And I was like, okay, this ain't cool. I didn't panic, but I was like, this ain't cool.
And also, Goat has that global traveler thing from all of his time visiting. His redacted.
Yes. No,
down in South America. And
you got to do clear.
I don't have clear, but I do have TSA pre. And
Pre-check works. Clear's even better.
And she does not. And so I was like, and she's like, well,
a normie?
And she was like, well, you'll just go through the regular TSA line with me, right? And I was like,
what?
Fat chance.
What?
I was like, no.
What?
I'll meet you on the other side.
It's a couple strip. You have to come in. And then I found out this was all exchanged via text while I was working on Wednesday. And then she at some point was like, I'm kidding. And I was like, oh, thank God.
All right, yeah.
I was like,
I'll see you on the other side, but I ain't waiting in line.
I was at the bar across from our gate having my morning airport beer.
Yes.
Starting my vacay. I started a stopwatch on my phone's clock, function.
Yeah.
27 and a half minutes.
Oh.
I was just through TSA, breezy. Drinking a beer, and she strolls up right before we began boarding.
Probably 10 minutes to get through all. And what was wild is one of those TSA lines was packed because of the traffic. It was packed. But I looked at it and I said, no, it's another one somewhere. And I saw it. I'll go through here. Slide right on through. And the guy said, wait, you're TSA. You shouldn't even be over here, sir. Come this way. Yes, I will. Thank you very much. TSA pre-check. Change your life, people.
I was like, babe, this is 27 minutes. You could have been sitting here on this bar stool next to me.
Chilling, man.
Talking about how excited we are for this little vacay. It's okay.
TSA, are you
pre-checked? Lesson learned.
Yeah, but I'm also clear. Clears the
way for you?
Yeah.
All right.
I just assume that there's red carpets.
Yeah,
being unrolled from one of those airport go-karts. You know what I mean? They're wherever Purdue walks through an airport.
Purdue check. Y'all got that. Yeah, right this way, 4-time champion.
People over 7 feet who are 4-time NBA champions have their own private lounge separate from the normal people private lounge.
Pay for a drink at an airport in 15 years. All right.
Okay, we got to get back on track. You know who shouldn't pay for a drink in Chicago for a while?
Tell me.
Vooch.
Yeah.
Can we give this man some freaking love and some freaking credit for all of the hate that he's endured from Bulls fans since his arrival? Yeah. And look, some of it justified, some of it valid.
Yeah.
But in that Bulls losing effort on Friday night, Vooch had his stuff together.
Yes, he did.
28 points on nearly flawless shooting from the field and nearly flawless shooting in entirety because he also was 5 of 5 at the free throw line. He missed 1 of his 4 3-point attempts. That is the only shot that did not go in the basket
in the fourth quarter
that Vooch took on Friday. Also chipping in those 11 boards, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. And then the season averages, when you line them up, it's not just one good game. He's averaging 21.5, averaging 11 boards per game, 3.5 assists. You look at his shooting splits right now, he's shooting 55, 50, 95 from the field, 3-point,
but he can't
free
play
throw.
this style. He can't run.
Well, Will, there was one person here who said that he would have the best year that he has ever had here in Chicago. Back to his Atlanta day. Oh, that was this handsome gentleman right here.
Real subtle, humble flex there.
Yeah, just a little subtle. It's the shoes. Shout out Street
Yeah, but if you're going to
Sports.
flex, I'm going to say at least the one thing I did say is that this guy can run much better than people think.
Yes, you did. You did.
But in the last couple of years, he hasn't had to run because they've been walking the ball off the floor.
Correct. They've been walking it up, but now it's run. And you know this better than anybody. When the big guy does work down there, he's only going to run when he knows he's going to. Well, I shouldn't say only, but he's going to run when he gets rewarded.
Right.
And when he gets rewarded, and Vooch is the kind of player that is great because his reward can come either in the paint or at the 3-point line. So either one works for him really well. And as Matt just read off those shooting splits, it's working for him either way. So, yeah, Vooch is having an amazing season.
Let's just say that the absence of a specific player has had a positive effect on more than just one guy.
Which is, I think, what a lot of Bulls fans were hoping for when it comes to Patrick Williams. But Vooch is the one who's benefited most strikingly so far in the absence of DeMar DeRozan.
Like I said,
Sorry.
let's give it 20 games. We're at 6. Okay? We got 14 more to go.
He's made it, assuming he is in the starting lineup tonight, and I know he was on the injury report with a shoulder strain, but listed probable. Quick note, we are pre-taping tonight's pregame, if you're wondering why we're not saying hi to y'all in the comments, and thanks for being here. Hit the like button. Because, Purdue kissing babies at the United Center and whatnot. But
I knew that was coming.
Assuming this is another start for Patrick Williams, if he's healthy enough to go, that's 7 straight starts in their first 7 games, whereas Billy benched him after 5 last season.
Billy bench.
Progress? And speaking of who's in, who's out, our Will to Go Gottlieb did just tweet moments ago, and for reference, it is 6:00 p.m. Central right now. No Levine tonight. They scratched him because of that adductor strain that he's been dealing with, that he endured during that loss to the Nets on Friday.
Let's go, Modest.
Gottlieb tweeting, Billy doesn't seem to think this is a long-term deal. So hopefully just one absence for Zach here tonight. Maybe Billy sees this as a, hey, we can win this game without Zach LaVine kind of situation.
That part.
Okay, but let's be very clear. I think we can wrap your head around this. He will miss one of the 2 games, whether it be Dallas or Minnesota, because he won't play back-to-back.
Yeah.
Because of this.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
That's the Bulls being shorthanded, also still without Lonzo, who has not gotten through that 10 days before reevaluating the status of his sprained wrist. But the Jazz, they're dealing with their own problems. Jordan Clarkson is out dealing with plantar fasciitis, specifically in his heel. Isaiah Collier, their first-round rookie from the 24 draft class, is out with a hamstring strain. Taylor Hendricks, their 9th overall, I believe, pick from the 23 draft class, out for the season, or at least projected to be out for the season. Dislocated ankle and a fractured fibula, an injury he suffered in one of their first games of the year. As we are sitting here right now, Lauri Markkanen is still maybe game time decision, but has been downgraded earlier today from questionable to doubtful. He's dealing with back spasms that have caused him to miss the Jazz's last couple of games. So injury issues on both sides of the ball. Giddey is expected to play through a non-COVID illness. Jalen Smith expected to play through some swelling in his knee. So it might just be Zach and Lonzo who are out for the Bulls tonight. But even with this banged up Jazz squad, like you can't take it lightly. You can't walk into this and say, well, here's a dub, because you're the Bulls. Like you haven't earned the right to say, well, here's an automatic dub tonight.
No, that's a fact.
But when you look at what the Jazz have done statistically through the first 6 games of the season, Katie, do you have those numbers? Oh my God. The only winless team remaining in the NBA.
Scooby-Doo.
Over. They make the Bears look good. They're scoring not even 100 points a game, dead last in the NBA. And as you see there, it's not just that they're last in scoring. They're 5 points behind the second worst team offensively in the Detroit Pistons, who are averaging 105 points a game.
Wow.
And then similarly, their net rating of negative 18.3 through the first 6 games is again, last in the league. The Sixers, surprisingly, but they're dealing with Embiid and, Paul George and all the absences, have a negative 9.2 net rating through their first 6 games of the season.
Jeez.
So they have double the league's second worst net rating,
Mm-hmm.
and they have woefully fewest points per game so far. The 30th ranked offense, the 22nd ranked defense. This Jazz team is bad.
Very, very bad. And they're using the T word. They're tanking for sure. And they're doing it in a way that is normal to us, that we understand it. Like, oh, we're just going to be a bad team when on nights when we have certain games. No, Lowry's going to sit. You know what I mean? He's going to have back spasms and things that.
He's officially been ruled out, by the way, just now. No Lowry for Utah.
Yeah, he's not going to play. He's not going to play. So they know what they're doing. This is a Danny Ainge team. Danny Ainge knows how to tank.
Yes.
He knows how to be a bad basketball team. But he knows how to do it and still be competitive. And even though they haven't won a game, and those numbers indicate those kind of things, a lot of those games they've had I've seen have been a little close. And so they're not just getting blown out and being a trash basketball team like that. They're still not embarrassing the game of basketball, and that's a different kind of thing. So yeah, like they're just bad. They're a bad team and they're trying to be bad.
But this is where I think the whole modest thing has been blown out of proportion.
That's a transition.
But hold on a second.
Come on.
But I feel like that, as you just pointed out, because you brought up Danny Ainge.
I did.
One of the issues is why they're 0-6 is because they start 2 rookies, all right, in Filipowski and Cody Williams.
Filipowski.
They got a second-year man, a third-year man in Kessler in the starting lineup, and a second-year guy in the starting lineup. They got 6 players 20 or younger.
Mm-hmm.
But what are these guys getting? Serious experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people have talked about with the modest thing is that, you could ruin his confidence. I don't know. He's a different breed. I think, he's a guy that if he gets his ass handed to him, he's going to go back and look at the film. He's going to try to figure it out.
Agreed.
But my point is that Will Hardy's, they're coaching these guys up. They're very young. They're inexperienced. But this kind of reminds me, it's almost like they're taking a page out of OKC's playbook. And they're going to start, stacking up draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have, it's just because they were on the verge, we thought, with the Lowry trade and how well he's played.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be interested to see how this thing progresses. Listen, they've lost by 41 to Golden State, 17 to Sac, 18 to the Spurs, just lost by 26 to Denver.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I'm not sure they're focusing too much on wins, specifically because of the injuries, but they're making sure these young guys are getting consistent minutes and getting experience.
That's a great point.
Well, with the Bulls being a bit short-handed tonight, hopefully we'll see some modest minutes. They sent him down and then immediately recalled him. I think he went and got a scrimmage in against
and I think that's
Iowa
a great idea.
team.
I love the fact that they did that. He needs as
Tell
much
him why.
work
Tell him.
as possible.
Mm-hmm. No, I wanted to continue that because when that happened, a lot of people went crazy.
Well, because a lot of people thought he was going down for good.
Yeah.
I love the scrimmage aspect because there was nothing going on with the Bulls. It wasn't like he missed a practice. He didn't miss a game. Now if you send him down there to play 8 or 10 games, then because I think that as experience is hard to determine.
Yes, sir.
But like Matt and I were talking, I actually think that the G League's been watered down a little bit.
Okay.
And I personally prefer him being up here and trying to get minutes up here. I know Billy has plainly said he hasn't earned them. But also at the end of the day, considering where he was drafted, I think that he needs an opportunity to prove whether he belongs or not. They seem to think that they've identified that through practice, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that listen, it's easy for me to sit out here and say this. I call Windy City games, so I see their games. I see the competition. He's already been in the G League for a year, right? I just think he needs to play against the best competition possible as much as possible to really get a true. Now, if he gets to play up with the Bulls and with the Windy City when nothing's going on and does this down, I have no problem with that because this guy needs as many repetitions as possible.
Agreed. We'll see if he gets any of the big boy reps tonight. Bulls Jazz tip-off just moments away. Thanks for tuning in to CHGO Bulls pregame presented by Coors Light. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. We will be right back here for post-game live following Bulls Jazz. Can the Bulls get back up above 500, a thing that they have done
First bucket of the night.
this season? Patrick Williams?
Patrick Williams?
Patrick Williams?
You going Patrick Williams?
They could. They should.
Give it to Vooch. For Purdue, Big Dave, and our producer, Katie, Peck saying thanks for watching. We'll see you in just a couple short hours. Enjoy the game. See you, Red. Be good.
Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.